In this video I have a little amplifier that's supposedly faulty. It's an AMI Jorgen A444 solid state stereo amp. And I think that knob was missing. Hopefully I didn't do that to it in the car, but it's got a bent balance control there and a missing knob. Got a power switch, speakers on, 1, 2, only a pretty cheapo little unit by the look of it. As there were many amps in the 70s like this, most of them weren't too bad, bit grotty underneath, probably a bit of corrosion. Yeah, we've got the old American style sockets. And oh, it's actually made in Japan, so I was going to say, does it tell you anything? There's actually basically nothing on the back of it to say who manufactured it. No manufacturer sticker at all. Normally, I thought by law you had to have something on these things, either for consumer protection or whatever, but I guess the fact that it's got the brand on the front still says it's a solid state, so definitely a 70s sort of era when people, I guess, still weren't sure whether things had valves in them or not. It's probably just going to have some TO220 type flat pack output transistors, probably puts out 10 watts a channel or something. Got a little wooden end plate things on just a normal metal hammer tone painted cover. Nothing very exciting here. Definitely looks like your standard Japanese sort of transformer of that era. It's actually got the voltages written on it, which is nice. So many of them didn't. Except I think they forgot to put a full stop in there. It's a 27.5 on that side, 21 volts. And that should be 27.5, I think. You've got a 220 volt tap. You probably got to rewire that manually, I think. Which is more the European voltage, maybe the ones they sent to Europe. And sure enough, here, 4 flat pack transistors there. C945, I think, transistor, as was used through a lot of time. Standard as an NEC stamped on that one. A lot of them don't have brands on them. Yeah, quite a few NEC transistors, C900s, I think. Nichicon capacitors, just a little filter cap there. 1000 microfarad at 50 volts. Alps, made in Japan, Alps. I guess that's the volume, yeah. It's got the big knob on it. Those sort of not so great looking toggly switches that are kind of similar to slide switches. Yeah, the little red stick-on thing, even though it's probably got an LED. No, it's actually got a lamp in this, incandescent lamp for the power. And what inputs we got? Phono, magnetic, ceramic, tuner auxiliary, so that's definitely giving away its age. When you've got both types of turntable, so it's definitely aimed at lower end sort of stuff. Got these not so great speaker terminals, but they do the job. You just press them in and the wire goes down the hole. That fuse holder looks decidedly dodgy. Or there's no fuse in there, it's actually broken. That certainly happens with these, where the Bakelite breaks in them. But at least it's got output fuses, which is nice. I don't know how that was actually even held on there at all. It does kind of jam on. That's really weird. With most of it broken off, it's still, maybe it's just pushing on the end of the fuse, so that could take out a channel if it's not connecting well. Okay, let's see if these are still intact. That's good. That's good. Check the mains fuse, I guess. Here we got power across there. I don't know if we're actually on. No, we're not. Uh-oh. That's never a good sign. So maybe we've got no power. Let's see, our active goes to the fuse. We know that comes back out of there. Neutral. Oh, that'll go to the sockets, I guess. Earth should go to the chassis. But we don't measure anything across there. Let's hope the transformer is an open circuit. Bit odd. Some of this solder's not too good, but that's intact. That's the main thing. We don't want an open circuit transformer. I guess we can check across the filter cap, make sure we haven't got shorted outputs in any obvious way. So it's probably this switch. Luckily it's got some extra contacts. It's measuring something across it, but where does the switch actually go? To the sockets, is it to the neutral? Yeah, it's high resistance. Other pins on this thing are very tarnished. So I guess for test purposes, being very careful this doesn't fall off while we're doing it. And at least it's on the neutral side, so it's not so bad, but make sure your clip leads stay on. You should be able to fire it up like that and check the DC. We've got a light. These may well show something on the output. Do we have a... oh, we've got an output switch at 0, and we better switch the speakers on, because this is possibly capacitively coupled, I don't know. No, maybe not. No, it looks good. Now what have we got? Speakers 1 are above one another by the look of it. Always got to check on these things where you get parts of each channel. Yeah, left and right are up and down. Guess it saved them printing something extra for the speaker sockets when you can just have the RCAs next to it with left and right and it counts for both. And input tuner, I guess. That's got a DIN connector for the tape. Oh, turn the volume down a bit. Well, we've got hum, so we're probably on the wrong input. Got phono. Switch is pretty dodgy there too. That switch is not the best. It's got the old wafer switch, as they call them, with multiple layers there. Have a good clean. Volume control. Things look a bit tarnished in here, I guess from age. Had some water dripping in there at some stage, looking at the rust on the bottom. So, age is catching up with it a bit. Yeah, the pots look a little tarnished on their leads. Okay. Yeah, shame that knob is missing, but we might be able to find something that'll suit it. And yeah, it really needs a new fuse holder there. That's not the best. And we've got to look at fixing this switch. And yeah, rather long cord on it. So let's put a new plug on it. So it looks like we're going to take the front off. Oh yeah, we've got a nut under there. Quite nice little knobs on it. Looks like they didn't bother sinking the, they didn't bother putting a false front panel in there. It's just bolted straight onto that, and the nuts are hidden by the knobs. So very much like a home construction job, this one. So at least I could get the pots manufactured with the shafts the right length. We just had to buy them with a great big long shaft and then saw them off. Looks a lot neater when they're not. And they're machined off at that length. Bit of dirt in there. Nice thick aluminium front on it. And now we can get to our power switch. Oh, they're all on one bank, that'd be right. This is where things tend to get messy with these sort of units, because we're going to have to try and repair this switch. I should check what those other contacts do in there, but let's get it out and have a look anyway. Maybe I could have just tried to fiddle with it in situ. We've got two other sets of contact, very tarnished. Don't know what the other ones do, if anything. Wouldn't have thought they'd put them in there so they don't switch something. Hopefully it's a dual pole switch. Made to switch active and neutral or something. Let's push that in. Well, it's not exactly measuring perfect, but that's open. So that looks like, are they actually, oh, does it switch from there to those ones? I don't know what they're doing. Looks like those two join up. Can we make a good, oh yeah, I think they are good. I'll just try filing them off a bit, because they're very tarnished. And maybe we could just move the wires to there. So they're half look like, not bad. A bit of heat and solder might tin it, but it's usually best just to get rid of some of that blackness. Yeah, awesome. It's really nice when they include something to replace the broken part built into the other part. Now you could probably strip this thing down and try and clean the contacts inside, but there's a lot of messing around and there's a risk you'll lose something, and it may just be pitted contacts or something, and they're not going to be particularly reliable anyway. That tins nicely. Beautiful, nice and silver. I think, oh actually, can we unsolder these? Maybe they are just put on the face. If they go through the terminal, it's easier just to cut them off and strip them and do them again. And yeah, I think it is wrapped around. So since we don't care about those terminals at all, we'll just leave the old wires on there. Snip and restrip. I like to tin them up front, but you can probably just poke them through there and tin them as you go type of thing. Doesn't matter which way around these go. That's probably a bit long, but we might as well put them through the hole as originally done and wrap it around. Just leave that a second while it sets hard again. Chop off the excess. Ow. And that should do it, hopefully. Turn it on. Yeah, we've got a light. So that's a good sign. Get those switches are clean while we can get to them. And around that pot a bit. Good chance to bend that pot shaft straight again in a proper way. And well, at least the front's in good condition, but we need a little knob to fit that balance control. Oh yeah, we better put our knobs back on. The switches, wiping the dust off as we go. Might even put that one upside down, it's a bit scraped. Although that might have been the downside anyway, who knows. And looks like we've got two sizes. That looks like a bigger shaft for the nuts. Should really use a socket or something on these. Pliers will scratch the front panel if you're not careful. So keep them slightly off the panel while you do this. Now we're going to set these in the right position. Again, lift it probably slightly off the front panel so it doesn't scrape on it. Treble was probably metal, but I can actually see the screw mark there too, which helps. No, I'm assuming that one didn't come off it. That's pretty spot on. Yep. And our function switch has actually got a flat bit on it. Is that where we're pointed? Yep. So that would have been the one that had the screw that wasn't out enough on the treble. That's because it came off this shaft where you don't have to undo it anywhere near as much. So I'll put one of these back in the wrong spot technically, or a different spot to where it came from. Don't know if I can really adjust this one. It's slightly out if you ask me. It tends to just center itself because it's on a flat shaft. That is just ever so slightly scraping, I can hear it. So let's just lift it a little bit. Double check it still does its range. That's pretty good. Why have I got no? Oh, speakers. Oh, all seems to be working. I'll have to find another fuse holder for it. Needs a bit of a clean on the back as well. That is rather dusty and horrible. But not particularly loud amp. Make another good little bench test amplifier or something like the other one I got there. I'll get rid of this tape someone's put on the feet. But yeah, for basic listening, fine. Certainly not much good if you want to really turn it up. But I'll see if I can find any info online when it was made or anything. Pretty sure I've heard of this Jorgen brand before. Don't know what AMI is. Whether that's a local brand or was an international brand. Chances are these amps would have come out under a few different names potentially. But it looks pretty much like your generic sort of 70s basic amplifier for people that, you know, weren't turning their music up too loud. And yeah, certainly not a top of the line amp, but not a bad little unit. It sounds decent, but it's just not very high power. Yeah, it sounds decent enough. Does need a knob for that as well, just to make it look a bit better. Any old slider pot knob, or preferably one of the little smaller round ones in brushed aluminium, something like that, would do the job. A lot of them, the sort of wide ones, are not much good for this one. So maybe you could mount it the other way. Sometimes they'll go both ways, but something just to cover that up would be good. And yeah, new fuse holder, and this will be quite a good little low power amp. Can even use it with the old BSR turntables and stuff with the ceramic. Not sure what it sounds like on the magnetic. I might have to hook that up to phono later and see what it actually sounds like. But yeah, at least it's got phono inputs on it. A few of the labels are a bit tatty on it, so it's not exactly mint, but it might make a good little cheap amplifier for someone. But that should keep it going. At least the switch had an extra set of contacts in it. Makes life a lot easier. So thanks for watching.